Welcome to Lord's Day 32 of the Heidelberg Catechism. If you remember way back when I started these devotions, I said that the Heidelberg Catechism was divided up into three parts: guilt, grace, and gratitude. We're guilty because of our sins and we can't save ourselves. So God's grace has to do the saving. And because of God's grace, we should be grateful. We should show gratitude. We've gone through the Lord's days, or the weeks, if you will, related to the first two sections, guilt and grace. Today starts the final section, gratitude. The guilt section, thankfully, was only 4 Lord's days, or 4 weeks. 11 questions, 8.5% of the questions. Remember, there's 129 questions and answers in the Heidelberg Catechism. The grace section was 27 Lord's days, 74 questions, or 57%. This is Lord's Day 32. So we have roughly 20 weeks left after this one in the Heidelberg Catechism discussions. 20 weeks related to gratitude. There's 44 questions left. That's roughly 34%. I hope I did the math right, but if not, it really doesn't matter. This wasn't intended to be a math lesson, but you should get the point that God's grace takes up most of our discussion, but followed by a close second of gratitude. I've seen a number of discussions lately asking the question, how in the world can we show gratitude in times like these with all the problems that we have these days? But that list of problems didn't include COVID or vaccine shortages or unemployment or racism or presidential elections or partisanship and many others. Why didn't they include those topics? Because the discussions were from other times. They had their own problems. We have ours. I think the point is this, that each and every generation will have problems of their own. So how on earth in any generation can we show gratitude and be thankful in our hearts when we have all these problems? I read this article recently. It's from Christianity Today. It's from 1978, so the information is a little bit dated, but you'll get the point. These are reasons to be thankful. Number one, that there aren't twice as many congressmen and half as many doctors. The grass doesn't grow through snow, necessitating winter mowing as well as shoveling. That there are only 24 hours available each day for TV programming. The teenagers ultimately will have children who will become teenagers. If you're a parent, have you said that? Yep, I'm sure that we all have. That I'm not a turkey. This article was originally written for Thanksgiving, so do you get it now? That houses still cost more than cars. Well, I don't know if that's totally true these days. That the space available for messages on t-shirts and bumpers is limited. That snow covers the unraked leaves. That hugs and kisses don't add weight or cause cancer. That record players and radios and TV sets and washers and mixers and lights can be turned off. You can put in those places the devices of today. That no one can turn off the moon and the stars. I know it's old information, but get the point. There's always something to be thankful for if we would but look. But this list is obviously missing the big one. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 1, using the Amplified translation, says it this way. So I, the prisoner for the Lord, meaning Paul, appeal to you to live a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called. That is, to live a life that exhibits godly character, moral courage, personal integrity, and mature behavior, a life that expresses gratitude to God for your salvation. We should be grateful for our salvation, but even more than being grateful, we should express it in gratitude. We need to express it. Paul explains that here by saying that we should live a life worthy of the calling for which we have been called. Live a life that exhibits godly character. Express your thanksgiving. Express it in gratitude. By the way, Paul wrote this letter from prison. Again, a little bit later from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 24, this time Paul writes, and put on the new self, the regenerated and renewed nature, created in God's image, God-like in the righteousness and holiness of the truth, living in a way that expresses to God your gratitude for your salvation. So we live a life that shows our gratitude to God for our salvation. So besides the list of things to be thankful for that I read earlier, which were kind of funny, how about being thankful and show gratitude to God for our salvation? This ends Lord's Day 32. Again, I'll just post the questions and answers for this Lord's Day. See you next week for Lord's Day 33.